it. So I told you I had to keep going now. So we are going to take a look at high-tech helicopter. I don't know why Thunderhawk is Thunderhawk, but Switchblade is this, and Rhino is not Rhino. I don't know. It has something to do with Switchblade and Rhino being very, very simple, straightforward words that you can't copyright. I don't know. Anyway, Switchblade. Let's give this a whirl. Oh my god. And here it is out of the packaging along with Miles, and let's talk about it. For those of you who are like M.A.S.K super fans, yes, I realize I'm presenting Switchblade here in kind of like a merging of both jet and helicopter mode, but that is because it's basically kind of the simplest way to present it. And that leads me to my only criticism of the toy, which I'll get into, but it really is not a major one for me anyway. And just to repeat myself, and of course, if you've been following the Loyal Subjects reissuing of M.A.S.K vehicles, you know that Switchblade here is a 1-to-1 scale with the original. It really does kind of, opening it, getting it out of the packaging, and setting it up, it really is kind of like a rush of nostalgia, because these vehicles, at least to my hands out of the box, really are as close as I would expect or hope to what I felt when I was unwrapping M.A.S.K vehicles back in the 80s. I harp on it a lot, so I'll try to abbreviate it here. I'll just say again that these M.A.S.K vehicles / reissues are very close, not exact, but to my estimation or whatever, they feel really close to the original plastic qualities and weights of the toys back in the 80s. Not exact, but pretty damn close. And actually, this time around, I think I'm going to start by taking a look at the figure. I really love Miles Mayhem. Not in the cartoon so much. He was a very stock, simple, kind of stupid bad guy. But I loved the original figure because I just loved that 80s stash. And I loved the way that the mold of that version of Miles Mayhem looked a lot like Tom Smikowski from Office Space. And our new guy looks a lot more sort of, by memory, less like the Miles Mayhem in the cartoon, but nonetheless, like definitely a step up in detail. I gotta be honest, I do prefer the mold and the sculpt of the original Miles Mayhem, but all the decisions they made with this new guy, I get. He's ever so slightly more upgraded as far as details concerned. Of course, the articulation on these new M.A.S.K figures is an upgrade. The hip has got a lot more range of motion. The knees do bend just like the original, no waist swivel. The arms have a bit more movement at the shoulder, and no elbow joint. The head is on a ball joint, but it's so small and there's paint and everything, so you don't get a lot of movement. Really more than enough articulation for a figure that's basically 3 inches tall. My one issue, and maybe it's just mine, is that the masks are so tight on the new Miles Mayhem that I really worry that I am going to scuff some paint off of his nose or something with a lot of repeated putting on and taking off of the mask. So I think it's either going to go on and stay on or stay off. But yeah, I see some scuff marks in the future for these new M.A.S.K figures with their masks. And just like with Matt Tracker, you do get an extra mask along with a blast effect kind of molded into it. And it is a little bit different of a sculpt of the mask because it's got the openings in it. And before we dive into this, let's just go over the other accessories that come with Switchblade here. Just like with Thunderhawk, we do get some blast effects, which I think plug in multiple places. You can put them on the back of Switchblade. No, I'm lying. You can't put them there. I think maybe you can just put them here on the front guns of Switchblade. The other blast effect you are given is probably, of all the blast effects that come with modern toys, this is the one that annoys me the least, which is a missile molded on the end of sort of this curved exhaust from the missile. And this plugs in, oh, well, the original action feature of the missile that drops out of the bottom of Switchblade is still here. It's a very loose fit on there. But yeah, so this can plug in underneath Switchblade, and then it gives you that effect, which I kind of dig. All right, now let's get into this nonsense. Let's start by, I don't know, how should I do this? Let's start by setting this up in helicopter mode. What the Hey, I got it. Okay, so here is what I think is officially helicopter mode. By the way, the distinction between helicopter and jet mode is pretty thin as far as 80s toys go, transforming toys go. But then again, that never really bothered me. I mean, if you think about it, Thunderhawk really just opens its doors. But anyway, here is Miles Mayhem helicopter mode of Switchblade. The mechanism and everything, the way things spring open and everything is exactly like the original, how the original did. This button on this side is what makes the propeller spin, just like back in the day. This is the button that is one of the hair triggers that people are having lots of issues with as far as this version of Switchblade is concerned. But the idea is you fold the blade up, this goes down. Oh God, I really thought I was gonna do better than most other reviewers. So the idea is that this button, when pushed in or raised a little bit, it extends this teeny tiny little latch kind of tab thing that holds the propeller down in place. Then what you do is that if you did this right, then what you do, you bring this tail rudder fin, whatever you want to call it, up. Oh my, I got to at least get that mechanism right. I can't be as bad. Okay. This, when you bring this up and clip it into place, it's going to release the wings into jet mode. And then the only other mechanism that should, well, that's holding into place right now. The only other mechanism that should have already, well, it already triggered, but what would also happen is, okay, these two guns also pop out when the wings fold open. These, when you flip up these rails underneath the helicopter, extend the two guns, and I still messed up as many times as anybody else on YouTube. So there is Switchblade in jet mode. One of my issues with mine in particular is, I think, probably just like a quality control thing. I am really delicate with these things right out of the box, and my two chrome pieces on top here both have some scuff marks or some just kind of damage. Maybe some of that is just smudging of something that I can clean off, but I don't think so. Beyond that, I don't really have any issues with the build or even the construction of this toy, or even the mechanism of the transformation. And let me just say an extra couple words as to why. Here is my original Switchblade. Different shades of blue. I kind of prefer the original shade of blue, but my main point of bringing this out is that this is like a 40-year-old toy. So yes, the latch here doesn't really hold the propeller down, and that you could just chalk up to age, or that there's been a lot of play, hours of play put to this thing. And I could just be selective with my memory, but I'm pretty positive that I had a lot of issues with these wings like springing open unprompted, or things popping off and this and that on this guy when he was brand new. I don't think that's an issue with this guy because this is a bad toy that's rushed or poorly engineered or designed. I really don't. I think the dynamics of how this is supposed to work or how the mechanisms are supposed to trigger. The nature of just how it's supposed to happen is why this thing is a little too unstable with the way things are supposed to be locked or latched in place. That could sound like I'm favoring what's going on here, and I'm not being honest with myself, or I'm not being as objective as maybe I could be when I'm looking at these these new M.A.S.K toys, or specifically Switchblade here. I don't know if I can say that that's not true, but I really do think that people are coming down just a little too hard on this, because this thing had a wing or a propeller or something trigger and snap open unprompted 40 years ago, just the way this guy is. I really think that the nature of M.A.S.K toys makes them a little bit more prone to sort of like firing or activating mechanisms or play features spontaneously. So that's why I still very much like this toy. I do feel like Thunderhawk, the new Thunderhawk from the Loyal Subjects, is a way better representation of what this line can and should be when compared to our new Switchblade. There's definitely some more issues with this than there are with this guy compared to the original. Stickers are almost identical. You do have to put them all on, and the ones in the cockpit here were a little tricky to get on precisely, I will admit. And I know I already said, but I do got to say it again. I really find this shade of blue a lot more appealing than this, that is much more closer to just kind of like a navy. I'm not jumping off the Loyal Subjects M.A.S.K toys train. I'm not. But I do have some more issues with this than Thunderhawk. Of course, we do have to take a look at Miles piloting Switchblade here. I didn't put Matt Tracker in Thunderhawk because whether you're talking about the original or the new one, it's a pain in the ass getting him in and out of there. With Switchblade, it's a bit easier, so I don't really have that excuse. So there he is doing his thing. So that is a quick look at the new Loyal Subjects rendition of Switchblade with Miles Mayhem. Some more issues than with my initial purchase for this line, but still a net positive in my mind.